Okay, right, everyone, welcome to our fifth masterclass session here. So it's 8:05 now, so we'll start the session. So, okay, so before we start, I just want to take like a photo of everyone as an attendance checklist. So, okay, so I'll be taking, so if you guys, if it's possible, please turn on your video as well. Right, okay, I'll start taking a photo with my phone because like I have no idea something is wrong with my screenshot of my laptop, so I have to do it manually. Okay, so in three, okay, 3, 2, 1, smile. Okay, another one. Right, okay. Okay, great. So now we have a attendance is checked. So now we will proceed with the actual masterclass session. So yeah, today, so this is our fifth masterclass session that we are having this year. And today the theme will be marketing and sponsorship focus, okay? So, right, so before we start, please change your name to the format as listed here. And yep, secondly, we are kindly requesting everyone, all the participants, to keep their microphones on mute because it would to minimize the background noise, so that our hosts and our speakers are able to like deliver the masterclass more smoothly. Okay, and then there will be a Q&A session after the presentation. So if you have any questions or doubt in mind, please note it down first, and then we'll give you the chance to ask our speakers, okay? And then also, if you have any questions during the presentation or anytime during the session, you can use the chat feature to raise the problems and we'll be answering you guys. And yeah, and also this session is recorded and will be posted on our social media accounts, for example, like Facebook and also YouTube. So yeah, so if you do not wish to be appear on all these recorded images, so please turn off your camera, okay? Right. So to start with, I'm Chirpin. I'm the Director of Marketing and Sponsorship for AMSA International, and currently I'm a fourth year medical student from University of Glasgow. Okay. Right. And yeah, just to introduce our panelists today. So our panelists today are people who are very experienced in dealing with external department stuff. So the first one is Dr. Jiak Ying Tan. So she was heavily involved in AMSA in the past, and she was the VOC external of AMSA International 2 years ago. Okay, and our second panelist is Jason Fowira. He is the treasurer of AMSA Indonesia. Okay, and also he's very actively involved in a lot of uh, other organizations and events. Right. So So today our flow of our events is that we have two presentation. So on the first one is on bringing sponsors to your chapter, and second one is on how to establish a successful MOU between your chapter and your sponsor. Okay, so after that we will have a short Q&A session for everyone to raise any questions, and our panelists will be happy to answer all of them. And then after that, we will have a workshop for you guys to have some hands-on experience on how to draft a MOU, so that you guys can present your partner or future sponsor with a more organized MOU, and yeah, hopefully like increase the efficiency of your work. Okay, so now let's welcome Dr. Jiak Ying Tan to present us with the first presentation today, which is bringing sponsors to your chapter 101. Welcome, Dr. Jiak Ying.
Hello everyone, and just let me share my screen. I hope you say yes for that.
Yep.
All right. Hi everyone, and I'm Jiak Ying, and you can just call me Jackie. Actually, don't need to be that formal. I'm currently a houseman officer in United Kingdom, and I graduated from Glasgow just 6 months ago, basically. So I'll basically talk you through about how you approach a sponsor, what you need to think and consider when you approach a sponsor, and then how you probably can do, what the things you can do in order to make a good relationship with the sponsors. Okay, so first, this will be the content: who, how, and how to maintain a good relationships, and then the tips. All right. Okay, first, who. So the question here is, you need to ask yourself, like, what type of sponsorship do you need? Do you need monetary? Do you need non-monetary? If it's non-monetary, what type of non-monetary do you need? All right. So a way to think about this is, if you have really no idea, what you can do is you think your flow of your event from the very beginning till the end. So for example, if you are organizing a talk, and then you know that would be an opening ceremony. So in the opening ceremony, you have some VIPs coming in. And for the VIPs coming in, you probably need to give them some gift of appreciation. So this is a way, the gift of appreciation is something you can get sponsors. And then probably for delegates wise, you need a delegate package. Then the content of the delegate package itself is something that you can get a sponsor with as well. All right. So this is how you can think through that way, and then you list out whatever things you need, and from there you can branch out what are the things you which sponsor you're supposed to approach. That's one way. Another way is you can talk to your universities, or you can browse through your university events. Usually what happens is your university will have some business partners or some usual sponsors that support educational events from universities, and that's the way. Either you can approach your HR or probably your marketing department in your university to ask for a list for them. If not, you can just do the simplest and probably the most tedious way, is just like go through every single event and see what are the sponsors they usually approach. And then the third one is, again, is very tedious way and probably the less technical way. It's just Google around whatever educational conference or whatever educational type of events that organized by other organizations. You can have a look through on their sponsor list as well. And then from there, you can actually approach them. All right. So in how to search, and like I say, you can do that, the three way I talked about just now. And then how you do is you can list the sponsor according to different category. First thing is you can list like food industry, stationaries, education organization platforms, medical organization, or supermarket, shopping malls, industries. So for food industry, I'm pretty much like McDonald's, KFC. Sometimes they do sponsors educational type of events. Say that, oh, lunch is KFC's, and you can get discount from KFC's. And then the stationaries, for example, you can approach like international type of in that stationary companies, for example, Pilot. And then education organization or platforms and medical organization, you can probably approach either your usual partners from your universities, or you can approach the AMSA usual partners, like Kaplan is one of them. And then they probably are quite keen to actually sponsor you guys. And in terms of supermarkets and shopping malls, what happens is in this kind of companies, they usually have a branch of sponsorship that actually open up for people to apply. And you can have a look on that as well. And then once you have the list of them, and then you can sit down and brainstorm as many companies as you want with your sponsorship team, and then look for all the contact details. And then probably the easiest way is actually to look through the business partner. Oh, sorry, who's that chatting? Yeah. So look through the business partner of your members, families probably. That's probably the easiest and the easiest way to get sponsors. If you do have members who have like big families who's running a business, they probably is quite keen to help as well. All right. So next is how. So question here. I think my view is blocking. All right. If you are a businessman and just wondering, think like a businessman. What benefit would you like to gain in a sponsorship? And it would be great if you can answer in the chat. Oh, that's answer. Sorry, if you can answer in the chat. I'm wondering, Chapin, can you help me with reading out the answer?
Yep, sure, I'll be moderating. So guys, please answer in the chat if you you have any thoughts about this? Like, come on, guys, you guys can do it. Okay, so people have said that they want to increase brand awareness, exposure and new clients as well. And
yeah, sure, I'm reading it as well, Chapin. Thank you.
okay, right, okay.
Yeah, so yep, long-term and exclusive, that's great. Advertisement, promotion. Ooh. And then looking for publication for a certain group of people, that is true as well. Exposure that is convertible into potential customer, that's true. Exposure and new clients, increasing brand awareness, that is correct, everyone. So basically, if you're a businessman, you only have 3 aims. Are you a new company? Are you opening a new market? And what is their target market? It's basically whatever you guys have mentioned, basically. So if a new company, usually what happens, they want to introduce their company to the market. If it's a new market, then they probably just want to open. For example, they usually sell something as targeting the older generations, then now they want to target a new generation. And then a very good thing to think about is like you need to know what product they are selling and you need to know about what target they are going for. All right. And then what do you think you can offer if these are the aims they want to? Again, it would be great if you guys can answer in the chat and I can have a look. Anyone have any idea?
Any takers?
What do you guys can? Audience, true?
Just
anything else? Promotion and student-based outreach. Logo placement, true? All right. So true for both, but I think in a very systematic way, we can think about what things we can offer them is, sorry, this, yeah, okay, there you go. So in a very systematic way is a publicity wise, you can either do them in digitally, you can do them in paper form, and then you can do them in a banner form. So digitally, what I mean is social media type of things, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Paper is basically in the, for example, your program flow, your program booklet itself, and the banner is usually as self-explanatory. And then in terms of short presentation, sometimes you can offer them to come over, for example, in your opening ceremony for them to speak for 5 minutes to introduce their company, to introduce their products. And if your event have like a capacity to provide a booth, that is a very good choice to actually provide them as well. Some sponsors, they are quite creative in a way. They will ask for a specific event or competition. So I used to be in a sponsorship team when I was organizing a large charity run, and there was this one sponsor who was asking for like, oh, can we organize an event for my company, and then I will sponsor you probably 1,000 or 2,000 type of products for you guys to put in your delegate package or like, you know, participant bag and stuff. So it depends, it very depends on what type of the sponsors want, to be fair. All right. So the strategy here is, one, you need to have quite an important and quite attractive and precise sponsorship prospectus and proposal. And second thing is, if you have the proposal already, you need to be flexible, although there's a proposal there, at the same time, not too flexible. Okay, it's quite contradicting in a way that you have a proposal, but it's open for discussion for the sponsors. But at the same time, if you have already set up the category of a monetary, for example, platinum is the highest, gold is the next, silver is the next, and probably there's a certain range of monetary they sponsor. For example, 500 is 500 is silver, 1,000 is gold, and probably 2,000 is platinum. These are the things that you cannot change because you need to be fair and square to other people. But other stuff, for example, this company says, oh, I want logo placement to the banner rather than logo placement to the program booklet, those kind of things, that would be open for discussion, all right? And also, for example, the just now I mentioned the specific events or competition to organize, those kind also is open for discussion, all right? And then you need to contact them via their preferred method, either by email, phone calls, Facebook, or like meeting physically. And before you approach them, you need to have clear understanding who is your participants, roughly how many of your participants are going to an event, and the age range of them as well. And then because you need to be always prepared to answer if the company asks you, oh, what we can gain from you from a sponsoring you. For example, if you approach a gym, and then you are educational type of conference, and they'll probably ask you, oh, okay, if I sponsor you, what can I gain from it? Like I'm a gym, like I'm having my sport and stuff, it's not even educational stuff. And then you probably can mention like, oh, probably gym is a trend now in the younger generations, and we can actually spread the words about your gym among all the young participants that we have, and then they can have a look on your gym. And then we can promote exercise at the same time as well. So something like that down that line, and then like try to say that, you know, then you can open up your market to more people as well. All right. So it's also, that's why it's very important to do basic research on the potential sponsors before approaching, see what is their aims. Usually what happens is in a year, the company will have a certain aims. For example, company A said that this year I want to like open a new market in a new audience, and probably one of them is like, okay, medical professionals, all right? Then you can probably slot your medical education, like AMSA is basically a healthcare professional organization. You say like, we are a healthcare professional organization. We always organize things for medical students, doctors. So this is a very good platform for you guys to use and like, you know, to promote your company products and stuff. All right. So how to maintain a good relationship? So, oops, I need to remove this. So first, usually the first instant you contact someone is through the email. But your emails need to be formal yet not so formal, yet friendly, I would say. So the first email usually is quite formal, but then depends on how they reply you. You need to be slightly friendlier as well if they reply you in a very friendly way, because being too formal, you're actually building walls between two parties as well. So you need to take the balance right, and then you get a good rapport between both of you. And then you need to be on time. If you're meeting the sponsors physically, then be on time. And you need to always respect the sponsors, no matter how, okay, some sponsor might be very direct and probably sometimes is to the extent a little bit rude, but you as a party, as the party that you approach someone for something, you need to be respecting all of them, no matter how they reply you, all right? And then you need to ensure all sponsors' requirements are fulfilled. So how you can do that is you probably can have a spreadsheet on all the sponsors you approach and what are the things they want you to do. And then once it's done, and you just tick from your Excel spreadsheet, okay, it's done on what date, right? And then get one person to contact only. Don't go through the usual, for example, a switchboard that will actually direct to your different department every single time. So just get one person to contact with. So it's easier to continue the conversation, or it's easier to get an update from them as well. And also be proactive in promoting the products if needed. For example, if the company have a product and say, like, I need you to promote these products for us. So don't do the minimal, because if you do the minimal for them, they actually feel it, and they'll say, oh, you know, this organization is not doing much for us, although, like, you know, we sponsor them. So you can actually proactively offer them, say, oh, we are organizing something else already now. Why not we send an offer like email and say like, oh, offer them, say, oh, why we are organizing this? Do you want us to promote these products for you in our event? Of course, with this, provided whatever they sponsors is eligible for it, you know. So again, I did say that you need to make fair and square to other people as well. So if you are doing this for this sponsor for the certain amount of money or non-monetary things that are sponsored, you need to do it for every single company that in the same category. All right. And then next would be providing evidence. And then some companies would like you to provide evidence in a way that they would like to share in their Twitter account and their Facebook account as well. So it's very good habit to actually save the evidence. And last but not least, there are companies that at the end of the day decided not to sponsor you. But then, as I mentioned again, respect sponsors and always show your gratitude, even though the sponsor at the end of the day say like no, because you don't know in the future, you might approach the same person, you might approach the same company for the same request. And then at that time, they probably say, yeah, it's fine, you know. It's always good to have a friend rather than an enemy at the end of the day, all right? So some tips, very easy tips. So start early. That is probably the top tips for everything. Every company will have their different timeline of like doing the budget meeting. And for you as an organizer that's organizing something, it's always good to start early, no matter how early you can. And then even though you approach a company at the end of their probably annual year, all right, at the end of the year, and then their budget meeting probably start next month for next year, then it's always good as well, because in a way that you can actually give them a heads up and say like, all right, there's an event coming up in a few months time from these organizations, or they can bring it to the meeting and say like, and discuss with everyone, and they can have a look whether it's worthwhile to sponsor you. And then when you approach someone, remember always to be contactable. And when I say contactable, it's not something that, you know, I expect you to be contactable after 5 o'clock and before 9 o'clock in the morning. It's just be contactable while office hours, because we have, I presume most of you are as a students as well at the moment. So our time is more flexible than those people that are working. So it's better if someone called you and you can pick up the phone at that time, instead of like lengthening the time where you contact with each other, basically. All right. And then be responsive. And what I mean be responsive is that you don't need to be prompt responsive. You know, you can take some time to reply, but do not take too much time. And be organized. What I said just now, for example, using the Excel sheet, you can use whatever, you know, software you want, but just make sure you can organize your things properly. Who have you approached, when you have sent the first reminder, when you have sent the second reminder for updates from the sponsorship progress, those kind of things. And last but not least, be persistent, because some companies will take ages, really ages to reply you. So you just need to be polite in asking them for like updates, and either by call or by emails. Don't be too frequent. Don't like phone them 1 week once or like 2 weeks once, unless the sponsor says like, oh, I can probably give you an answer in a week time. Then yes, you can do that. In next week, you can phone them and ask for update if they didn't reply you. But it's always best, probably, I would say about like once per 3 weeks, you can give them a phone call, or you can give them an email, say like, oh, can I just get some updates from you? All right. And I think that's pretty much everything. Thank you for listening. If there's any question, feel free to ask.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Jackie. I hope everyone did learn something from the presentation, because I've personally found it very helpful, and it's very important. It's very kind of Jackie to share her knowledge and experience in her past experience in AMSA. Okay, so So I think the most important when we are dealing with a partner here is that we have to be polite and we have to be organized when we approach them, because like we have to let them know that we are a potential reliable partner, okay? And then also remember to follow up after you send every email to them. Don't leave them hanging for like a week or like a month before you reply them, because like um, this will really affect like their decision if they want to like sponsor you or partner with you. And also like please be grateful to your potential partners or sponsors no matter what is the outcome, okay? Because this is the things that will affect like the image of AMSA in a whole, not just your chapter, okay? So yeah, so hope you guys will take like keep in mind of all these important points. And also thank you, Dr. Jackie, again. So next we'll proceed to the second presentation by Jason, which is on how to establish successful MOU. Okay, so as we all know that MOU is very important because like it's like a written agreement of both party on like on what both party will contribute or commit in order to move towards a common goal. So it's very important to like list down all this information before you start the partnership, and it works like as a guidance for both parties in the future, okay? So Jason, are you here? So can you start? You can start presenting when you're ready.
All right, thank you, Chairman. I'll be sharing my screen. All right, hello everyone. How's everyone doing? Can you all unmute your microphone for a second?
Hi, hello.
Great.
Hi everyone.
Hi, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Right. Thank you for the excitement. Now this really feels like an AMSA forum. If it is quiet, it doesn't feel like one. So yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for having me today, and thank you for spending your Sunday with me. So my name is Jason, and today I'll be presenting about how to establish successful MOU. Just a bit of an introduction about myself. So my name is Jason. I am a medical student, like everyone here, from University of Indonesia, and currently I'm doing a postgraduate in Newcastle University. And other than my academic credentials, earlier this year I co-founded a social nonprofit organization focusing on elderly community in Indonesia, and we name it Go Elderly. And I actually co-founded this with AMSA International Vice Over Chairperson, Felia, whom I believe you all know already. And yeah, in AMSA, I was serving as the treasurer of AMSA Indonesia. And even before that, I was part of the community outreach team of AMSA Indonesia. And currently, I am part of the Young Leaders for Indonesia by McKinsey and Company. Right, so before we start, I'd like to take a moment to do a team check-in. So perhaps like for a quick 2 minute, you can answer this question. So how are you feeling? You can just use the annotate feature to type in your answers. Right, cool. Thank you everyone for the excitement. Okay, so today we'll be talking in depth about Memorandum of Understanding, or also known for its acronym MOU. And this will be the outline of my presentation. So we'll start by defining what MOU is, and then the importance of MOU, and then the components, as well as the do's and the don'ts. Okay, first I'd like to acknowledge my audience. So I'd like to know how familiar you are with MOU. So perhaps you can ask this simple question: are you familiar with MOU? You can just answer like yes, no, or perhaps I've ever heard of it, but I've never really made any MOU. Just feel free to answer in the Zoom chat feature. All right, so Maul and Fania answered not really familiar. Right, cool. So most of you answered not really familiar with MOU. So I hope that this session will be insightful and also useful to everyone here. Right, so moving on, I'll define what MOU is. So there are actually a lot of definitions, but to put it simply, it is an agreement that is outlined in a formal document. And this agreement can be between two parties or bilateral, or it can also involve more than two parties or multilateral. And usually it is not legally binding, but in certain cases it can be legally binding to a certain extent. And by having an MOU, it actually signals the willingness of the parties to actually move forward with the contract. And the agreement within an MOU can really range between like sharing information or like collaborative work or like sponsoring a certain event to like promoting the events of each other business. And yeah, so MOU itself actually marks a significant step of your collaboration journey, since in negotiating and actually drafting a document, it might require a lot of time and effort. So like in the process, all the parties need to reach a mutual understanding where it is not just about you expressing what you're expecting, but also you understanding what the other parties are expecting out of this agreement. So this is why MOU is such a notable journey in your agreement. And in the process, each party will learn what is the most important aspect to one another. So for example, you will learn about their goals and what they're expecting from this agreement. Right, and then the next question is, why do we even need to establish MOU in the first place? So there are a number of reasons. So the first one is to really establish mutual goals and expectations. I know that every company, every organization, every business, they have their own vision, they have their own mission, they have their own goals and expectation. And this is where MOU really plays a role in aligning those goals and expectations to reach or to generate mutual goals and expectations between those parties. And the second reason is to clarify and also set out all the rights, obligations, as well as the scope and purpose and whatnot of the agreement. And I feel like this is the one of the most important reasons, since by having an MOU, you can really clarify all the roles, the rights and obligations of each party. And this is why it is very important in the negotiation stage to really clarify all this to avoid misunderstanding and also disagreement in the future. And the third reason is to mark a mutually beneficial partnership. Since it is mutually beneficial, so all the parties involved have to really benefit from this partnership. So it is really important to really understand their perspective as well. So it is not only about you expressing like your expectation, but also like seeing this agreement in their set of lenses, so that you will understand how to benefit everyone in the partnership. And just a quick note, so an MOU will help like getting everyone on the same page, which is very infallible and also important at the beginning of a cooperation. And yeah, so moving on, I'll be discussing about the steps in establishing MOU. So perhaps Jackie has mentioned a bit about this. So before we actually draft an MOU, there will be stages prior to the establishment of MOU, which is first the planning stage. So planning stage is basically, as Jackie mentioned, is the searching strategy. So this is the stage where you plan on what your organization want or need other party to provide, and what your organization are willing to negotiate, and what your organization has to offer. So I feel like planning stage is usually done at the beginning of the tenure. So for example, if your AMSA chapter has just begun its tenure, it will be ideal to do the planning stage where you're doing the searching strategy, and then you're listing everything that that you want the other parties to provide. And the second stage is the negotiation stage. And this is the stage where you're expressing your willingness to sort of partner up or collaborate with the other parties. And you also have to be really clear on your goals and also what is the purpose of your collaboration. And it is also important to for you to filter the other parties. For example, whether they're qualified or whether they're a good fit to be one of your partner. And after all the parties have agreed to proceed with the agreement, you can then prepare a draft or the deliverables of the MOU instrument based on the meetings and negotiations. And you can then send this MOU draft to the parties for you and the other parties to double check, and then after all the parties have agreed, you can then sign it, and then the agreement will be official. Okay. So to make it easier to illustrate, I will just give an example. So just imagine that your AMSA chapter has agreed to collaborate with X company, which is a leading global travel and tourism company, in providing free plane tickets to AMSA and international conference delegates. So I will just show an example. So I made this MOU up, so don't worry, it is not an actual MOU. So the first part is the introduction. So in introduction, all right, yeah, before that, we'll just, yeah, this will be the component of an MOU. So an MOU usually, yeah, the format of MOU can actually vary according to the needs of the parties. And just a disclaimer, I know that some company or some organization, they have their own template or format. And what I'll be sharing or presenting today is just based on my experience or just based on most of MOU that I've encountered. So I divided the component to 7. The first one is introduction. So for introduction, is basically just the description of the company or organization profile. For example, AMSA Indonesia, located in Faculty of Medicine, University of Trisakti, Jakarta, Indonesia. And you can also go like AMSA Indonesia as the leading medical student organization, blah, blah, blah. So just introduce your organization, also the other party. And the second component is the purpose or the objective of the All right, so yeah, for the role and responsibility of all parties, it is basically just the details of all the workload and obligations of the parties. And you really have to focus on this section since once the MOU is written, it is actually hard to change the content. It will require some time. So you really have to focus on this section. And the fourth section is the other provisions. So I feel like this one is pretty optional. The other provision is basically just other conditions that you want all the parties to fulfill within the agreement. For example, this agreement will be legally binding to a certain extent, or you can say like, once the MOU is signed, the organization can no longer collaborate with companies offering the same business or of the same interest. Yep. So probably just like if AMSA Indonesia has collaborated with a company offering like food to the delegates, they can no longer like collaborate with similar companies. It can negatively affect the agreement. So the other provision is optional, actually. And for the fifth section, it is the terms of MOU. So this is just basically the timeline and also how it will amended or terminated. And usually an MOU can be amended or terminated only by written notice. So I will just, I will later show the example. And the sixth section is the points of contact. So this is just basically the primary points of contact from each party. So say that one party wants to approach or has any question to the party, they know who to contact or who to approach. And the last section is signature. So usually, yeah, you have the signature of the representative or the alternate of the part of every party. For example, in AMSA, perhaps the regional chairperson or the treasurer, or yeah, perhaps from the companies, and it can be the CEO or the director of marketing and so on. And yeah, the format can really vary according to the needs of the parties. Yeah, and this is the illustration that I just presented earlier. So first is the introduction. So for introduction, first, usually you'll have like a title, like Memorandum of Understanding, and usually also the date, like made on December 10th or 12th, 2020. And you will also have like between Party A and Party B. Usually Party A is the one who draft or made the MOU. So for example, Party A, AMSA Indonesia, having its office at Faculty of Medicine, blah, blah, blah. And Party B, X company, registered at Jakarta, blah, blah, blah. And for the background, you can just go like, AMSA is a non-profit organization by medical students, blah, blah, blah. And X is a world-leading tourism group that operates worldwide. And for the third point, you can just go like, AMSA and X would like to collaborate in providing free flight tickets for AMSA and international conference delegates from AMSA. So this is just basically the background of each party and also what they're trying to collaborate through this agreement. Okay, moving on to the purpose or the objective. So this is also very simple. So just mention the purpose of the memorandum. For example, the purpose of this MOU is to clearly describe and also identify the goals and responsibilities of each party with regard to supporting medical students financially with their travel expenses in joining international events. So just describe the purpose or the objective of this MOU. And moving on, there will be the roles and responsibilities of each party. I feel like in this part, you have to really explain everything in much details. For example, AMSA shall promote access events in social media and mailing list member of AMSA. But it can, you can also like expand it to like promote access event in social media like bi-weekly or monthly, and mailing list member of AMSA like every 2 months or every 3 months. So yeah, I feel like if you go into much detail, it will be much better. And yeah, provide complimentary registration to the conference and also provide the names of delegates 60 days prior to the flights. So yeah, this is just based on the negotiation that you made with the party. And for X, for example, they have to serve as a sponsor of the flight tickets to AMSAP, AMSI, and ISAMSI. For example, yeah, just mention all the events or the projects if possible. And then, for example, we'll be entitled to 5 hours complimentary registration to each conference. Yeah, so basically for this section, be as clear as possible, and yeah, make sure that all the parties have agreed to everything written in this section. And yeah, moving on, we have other provisions. So this is just other conditions that you want the other, all the parties to fulfill. For example, this MOU in no way restricts either of the parties from participating in any activities, or this MOU is strictly for internal management purposes for each of the parties. It is not legally binding or enforceable. And also this MOU shall not be construed to provide any private right or cause of action for or by any person or entity. So this is just basically any conditions that, yeah, you want every party to fulfill. Yeah, moving on, we have the term and termination. So this is just basically the timeline and also like how it can be amended and terminated. For example, this agreement shall commence on the date of signing and continue for a term of 2 years. So yeah, it is also based on the negotiation between you and the other parties. And also you can also mention like how it can be renewed. For example, 6 months prior to the expiry, both parties shall review the achievement and also can negotiate the terms and conditions of any renewal agreement. And you can also go like, this agreement can be terminated if any party breaches any material provision of this agreement. Yeah, so this is basically how it can be terminated, how it can be amended, and the timeline of the agreement. And this is just another example. So like you can mention like a period of 1 year beginning from 2nd of October, and it can be extended by common written consent, and any modification must be in writing and signed by the parties. And this is also very important in the MOU. Yeah, and moving on, we'll have points of contact. So this is just basically the primary point of contact from each party. For example, AMSA, you'll have the address, also the phone number, the email, also the contact person. And it will also be best to also mention the designation. For example, Alex as the regional chairperson AMSA Indonesia, and also Cindy like as the CEO of X company. Okay, and last will be the signatures. So this is just basically, you will mention like this MOU is effective on the date of the last signature below. And there will be like the representative or the alternate from each party. For example, from AMSA, there will be Alex, and from X company, there will be Cindy. And then you can also add like the part to sign and also to write the date. Okay, so this is just another example from Google. Right, and moving on, I'll be giving some tips on what to do and what not to do during an MOU. So first, the do's. So do start with a generic form as a guide and adapt it to your situation. So what I just presented to you is actually a generic, or it's a general template for an MOU, and you can use it as a guide. And of course, you can adapt to it depending on your situation or depending to the needs of your agreement. And second, do ensure that all the parties are properly identified, that all the names are spelled correctly, and that the addresses are accurate. Yeah, this is also very important. So double check everything, since once the MOU is signed, it will take some time to amend or to make changes. And third, do include the date in the first paragraph, so it is easier to refer to after execution. Yeah, so don't forget to also add the date in the MOU. And also, do use headings to make it easier to find provisions, and also consider the placement of punctuation marks, since even a misplaced comma can change the meaning of a sentence. Yeah, I feel like this is a common mistake, but it is not something that we have to neglect. Yeah, so we have to really consider the placement of all the punctuation marks and everything. So basically double, triple check everything before you sign it. And yeah, moving on, carefully review the use of conjunctions since the word you choose can really have a significant impact on the meaning, and ensure that the contract addresses all possible contingencies and that nothing is left to chance. So what this means is that you really specify all the possible consequences. For example, how it can be terminated, how it can be amended. So it is very important to address everything. And next, review every MOU before you sign it, and then ask any questions if you have any doubt about the MOU. So it is better to ask before you sign it rather than asking it after you sign it. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people can have this kind of problem. So it is important to ask prior to signing the MOU. And next, if possible, sign in blue color or other colored ink to make it easier and more distinguishable from the photocopies. And lastly, do retain a copy of the MOU for your records. And next, the don'ts. So first, don't include overly long sentences, and if possible, break them into digestible thoughts. And don't be repetitive unless necessary. And also don't assume the other party defines the terms the way you do. So for example, perhaps they define publication as like publication in hard copy, but maybe you define publication in social media, publication as in publication in social media. So it's important to include a definition so that there won't be any misunderstanding in the future. And don't read the MOU over hurriedly, and don't start acting according to the terms until both parties have executed it. And don't agree to modification without memorializing it in writing. So it is very important to like have everything documented, yeah, to have everything memorialized in writing. Right, so to summarize, a memorandum of understanding is a type of agreement between two or more parties. So it can be bilateral or multilateral. And MOU expresses a convergence of will between the parties that indicate an intended common line of action. And as for the steps in establishing an MOU, it will start with planning and then negotiating and then establishing the MOU and then the execution. And yeah, MOU generally consists of introduction, purpose, roles and responsibilities, other provisions, point of contact, and also signatures. Yeah, so that would be all from me. I hope that you find this session insightful and useful. So if you have any other question you wanted to ask me privately, feel free to reach me out through my email, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Thank you. Over to Sherpin.
Right, okay, thanks, Jason, for teaching us how to establish a proper and effective MOU. So yeah, so MOU is really important. Like it's a very important document to establish between your chapter and your sponsor if you guys are like partnering or sponsors for more than one events. Okay, so please be detailed. Please list down all the details. Be more detailed as possible in the MOU, and list out all the roles and responsibility that you can commit only. Okay, so because this is the official document that you guys can refer to if there's any conflict or any doubts throughout the term of partnership or sponsorship. Okay, so yeah, so let me share my slide again. Yeah, so the most important is that don't list out any things that don't commit to any things that you cannot provide to your sponsor, and don't list them down in the MOU. Only put down what you can commit. Okay, so the next session will be Q&A session. So yep, so now you guys can raise any questions that you have, so and our panelists will be happy to answer all of them. Okay, so it can be anything related to marketing and sponsorship. It can be on MOU as well. Okay, so if there is no one raising questions, so here are a few questions that you guys might be interested to know. So the first one, do you guys know what is the key? Anyone knows what is the key of making a successful prospectus? Like, what are the things that you would like to include in the prospectus to attract your sponsors? Hey, Jackie, do you have any thoughts on this?
So in terms of prospectus wise, you can think it in a way is a simplified version of your MOU without all the details. So you need to put in a short introduction of your event, a short introduction of your organization, and then probably a short introduction of your president as well, some words from the president basically. And then the next page, probably you need to put in what would you want, what is the things you required or like you would like to be sponsored with. And then the next one would be the category of the sponsorships. Either you can separate them into monetary or non-monetary, or you can just combine it in a way that if you're able to sponsor a non-monetary above this line, and that would be equivalent of the monetary above a certain amount, and then you'll be under a package. For example, you are a silver sponsor, then you'll be eligible for what kind of publicities, or eligible with what kinds of promotion booth or whatever. And then after this would be the next page would be saying that the things that you can offer either digitally or either a booth or either presentation or events. And then the next page would be your contact details. And the last one probably is very important to just mention that although this is a prospectus, but we are open for discussion if needed as well. And that's pretty much that's it. Oh, and also remember to put in your like event logos, your organization logos, and yeah, that's the very basic structures of what a sponsorship sponsorship prospectus is supposed to have. And then probably just have some good design, and then like be precise with the content. That's it.
Also, I think it's very important. Thanks, Jackie. Also, I think it's very important to include like what are the influences of your AMSA chapter. So maybe you can list down the amount of followers you have on Facebook, Instagram. You can showcase your website to let them know that you actually have impact in your local chapter. Okay, and also like for events, you can describe events and try to include like the number of participants or the demographic of participants that is expected to present to be there at your event, so that your potential sponsor can have an idea on like the amount of audience they are expecting. Okay, and also like so something different about this year is that because of COVID, a lot of events are moving to like virtually. So it's important to like create like a virtual prospectus, sponsorship option for your sponsors as well. For example, like you can provide them like virtual booths or like logo insertion in your PowerPoint of your virtual event, and like maybe promotional video, or like give them an opportunity to give a talk before your virtual event starts, right? So yeah, so this is the main thing that you guys should keep in mind during this COVID era. Okay, right. So Jason, do you have anything to add on to this part?
Yeah, I think that Jackie has provided a clear and concise answer, but just other than the design, I feel like it would be also ideal to add like sponsorship packages. For example, like yeah, for 100 USD you can get this, and for 150 you can add this, you can get this, and yeah, I feel like by having sponsorship packages, it will be easier for them to understand. And I also feel like by personalizing your prospectus, it will also be great. Perhaps like in several sections, you don't really have to make a lot of changes, but like in the introduction, you can make it more personal. Perhaps if you have like if you've done like collaboration previously, you can go like you can write down like yeah, we have previously collaborated with your company, and we really enjoyed collaborating with your company, and so on. Like by make it more personal, it will be better as well.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Jason. So yeah. So and also like I've realized that a lot of companies out there, they are not willing to sponsor like actual monetary sponsorship, and they will only give like maybe like some promotional code or discount code in exchange for you to like publicize their company. So for those sponsors, please don't like provide too much for them and like compromise. Like don't provide too much for them, because like you have your actual sponsorship options that your other sponsorships are actually paying actual money for those like publicity options. So yeah, so for those like sponsors that you are giving them, you are promoting their company in exchange for some promotional code, please like list down in the MOU that how much you can commit, like maybe like just one promotional post over 2 months, but not like every week or every day, because like yeah, there are actual like promotional sponsorship options that other sponsors are paying extra money to that. Okay, so does any other people have any other questions other than prospectus?
Hi, Chairman. I think there's one question on the Zoom chat.
Right. Okay. Right. So okay. So Jackie. So someone is asking. So if they have contacted the company for the first time through email and they haven't gotten any reply after a week, so what is the thing that you would do in this situation?
Right. Thank you for the questions. And I think it's all right for you to resend the email in a week time, but I think the way you phrase in a way that, for example, you can start the things like, oh, I hope this email finds you well. And I think I sent an email a week ago about the sponsorship, and I think it has unfortunately been snowed in your busy inbox. So I just would like to resend this email for you to reconsider to sponsor us and have a relook about our sponsorship perspective. Something to start the phrase, something like that, and then you can just continue on the content. And I would say if in the reminder email, probably another week, and they didn't reply again, I would say just phone them up would be much more efficient. Pick the phone up and phone them and then ask like, oh, just wondering, we are so and so, we would like to organize this is event, and we have already sent emails about the sponsorship and would be really grateful if we can get an update, and just wondering, did you manage to have some time to read about it? And I know you're very busy, phrase it as beautiful as you can, and then ask for an update from them. So that it's basically how I would approach it. Mm-hmm.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. So I hope this answers your doubt. Okay, so yeah. So next, here is a question for you, Jason. So someone from Joanna from AMSA Indonesia is not clear about why MOU is not legally binding, and what are the implications of this characteristic?
Right, thank you, Giovanna, for the question. So it's a good question. So why MOU is not legally binding commonly is because we don't really need actually legal protection like from the law, since usually we're not like it doesn't really involve like a lot of money or a lot at stake, so we don't really need it to be legally binding. While for the implications, it really means that if any of the party breaches what is written in the MOU, we cannot really like ask for legal protection, or like we cannot really report it to the law. And yeah, you also asked about how drastic can modifications be made on an MOU. Well, actually, it really depends on what kind of modifications you want to make. So usually the modifications will just be not really drastic, but if it is drastic, you can also like negotiate it with the other parties. And while the modification are being discussed, usually the previous term are still in effect until it is modified or until it is amended. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thank you.
Right. Okay. So thanks, Jason, again. So okay. So here we have another question. Fakru from AMSA Indonesia asks, so what are the potential problems that we might probably encounter during the negotiation state? And if there's any problems, what are the steps that we could take to handle it? Okay, thanks for your question, Fakru. So, yep, so I think during the negotiation state, it's most important to like discuss with your sponsor that what are their expectations, and yeah, you have to make like expectations of both parties clear, and then like, and also like to find out what is the real purpose, what is the purpose of the partnership or sponsorship here, and then like you guys have to discuss about what you guys can commit for each other before you start drafting the MOU. Okay, so Jackie, do you have Jackie or Jason, do you have anything to add on to this question?
I think from my side, it's more like most of the time, the companies already have some sort of things you want to do, and you probably have some sort of idea of what you want the company to sponsor as well. So most of the problems I faced during negotiation stage is more like after some time you realize it's very hard to contact the sponsors. So it's more like the response from them rather than anything. And in this kind of situation, is kind of hard in a way that you can't push them too much. Like I say, it's more like a balance thing. You cannot push them too much. You need to be polite at the same time as well. So I think how to handle this in terms of that is like, there's no a good way to approach this, because you can only be persistent from your side, and then you can only find out what is the best contact way. If at the end of the day they don't reply email anymore, I would say escalate to phone call. If at the end of the day they probably in the phone calls just delaying you, I do have experience where sponsors just say, oh, I can give you an answer 3 weeks later, I can give you an answer a month later. And at this point, you actually do know that this sponsor probably is not like going to sponsor you anymore. Then you can just probably drop this sponsor and approach another sponsors. So there's most of the time the problems I face in terms of like terms and conditions. To be fair, most of the parties will have quite clear ideas what each parties want to do, basically.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Jackie. So, okay. So Jackie, here's another question for you. So, Dairo from AMSA Taiwan is asking, what is like when you are approaching like a sponsor for monetary sponsorship? So, is it appropriate to set the amount of sponsorship yourself, or like if you want to negotiate the amount of sponsorship, how do you do that?
All right. So that's where the sponsorship package where Jason mentioned comes in very handy, because they will give you you give the sponsors an idea what are you looking for. But if you do not have that, that is completely fine as well. You can probably propose in a way, because obviously if you organize an event, you have probably a budget, probably let's say 2K. For this event, you need a 2K for this event, and what is it been allocated for? So, and your budget plan, basically you have like for your food, for your appreciation things, your appreciation and appreciation plats or whatever, and or like, you know, for some, let me think, delegate package and all the money of this. So you have a small breakout of all the monies from your budget plan. You can actually say that, for example, your food, the budget for your food is about like $300, okay? So if you approach a sponsor, say, oh, this person, we would like to sponsor you monetary, just wondering how much you would like to have. You can actually use that as a basis, or we are thinking about, our budget for food is about like $300 to $400 American dollar. So it would be great if you can just provide us $300 to $400 American dollar, then we can use the money to buy food and stuff. It's just a guideline. So it's not a necessary like, you must use the money for food, you know, if you get what I mean. You can say like, oh, you can sponsor $300 to $400, and then you probably use it for the food. But at the end of the day, if you're able to get food sponsorship and you reduce your budget from that point, then the extra money can go for other places as well. That's how you can negotiate the point. Hope that answer your answer. Hope that answer your question. Oh my gosh. Oh.
Okay, thanks Jackie for the insight. Okay. So next up, because of the time constraint, we'll take one more question. So Vanya from AMSA Indonesia is asking, so during like this COVID pandemic, what are the things that most of the businesses or corporates out there are looking into finding a sponsorship or partnership with local chapters?
Right, perhaps I can help answering that question. Oh, am I audible?
Yep, Jason.
Right, yeah. Thank you, Fania, for the question. So I feel like it really depends on the company. Like some companies, they might want more exposure. Like they will be like more interested in getting promoted in social media or like a mailing list, or like getting their logo printed or shown in our banner, t-shirt, or maybe like presentation as what Sherpin has mentioned. But for some companies, they are like more experienced, or they have been longer in the game. So probably they realize that a lot of people are aware of their market or their business. So they will probably like prefer like like entrance to the conference, or like just like a virtual booth, or like a 20 or 30-minute presentation session where they can really like advertise their product. So I feel like it really depends on the company as well.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Jason. So yeah, so as Jason has said, a lot of companies that approach like AMSA right now during the pandemic is that companies that provides like online services, and yeah, their target market is usually medical students. So for example, there are a lot of like businesses that provides online medical education that are approaching AMSA right now during the pandemic. So usually they will ask like us to promote their company in exchange for like a discount code for our members. So yeah, this during the COVID pandemic, these are the kinds of companies that are mostly looking for us. Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the Q&A session, and so now we'll move on to the second part of our masterclass today, which is a workshop on for you guys to have hands-on practice on how to draft an MOU. Okay, so please take this opportunity to like as a practice or even like do mistakes so that you can learn from and not to repeat the same mistakes in the future when you're dealing with a real sponsor or real company out there. Okay, so now you guys would be distributed in teams, which you'll work with other members of your own chapter to formulate a draft MOU between you and your chapter and the sponsor that I'm giving you guys in this scenario. Okay, so you guys have a 20 minutes time to draft this MOU, and I will distribute you guys to like breakout rooms. Okay, so yeah, so after this me and the other two panelists, which is Dr. Jackie and Jason, will be choosing 3 groups to present their MOU to all of us. And then we'll be giving live feedbacks for you guys. And yeah, so for those groups that are not chosen later, we'll provide you guys like a written feedback through email because of the time constraint, okay? Right, so now I'll distribute you guys to the breakout rooms. Oh, wait. And I forgot to show you guys the scenario first. Right, okay, so here is the scenario that I'm giving you guys, okay? So, yeah, so here is Andy, a marketing director from a company called MedEd, has contacted your chapter and expressing interest in working with your chapter. Okay, so after several meetings, you guys have agreed that you guys are going for this partnership, and here are the meeting minutes. Okay, so you guys can have a look at these meeting minutes and take a picture of it as well, so that you guys can use all this information to draft your MOU. Okay, so now I will stop the screen sharing. So for those who haven't got the chance to snap a picture of the scenario, there's a link that MoU has posted in the chat, so you guys can access the scenario from the Google link. Okay. And okay, now please allow me some time to distribute you guys to the breakout rooms. Okay, I think everyone should be back to the main room already. So okay, so now we'll be choosing three of the chapters to present their MOU. So yep, so can we invite AMSA Indonesia to present their MOU to all of us? You can enable screen share here. Dear AMSA Indonesia, please present your findings about the scenario given to all of us.
Hello. I'm sorry, we're still deciding on who to
Right, it's
bring
fine,
your presentation.
No worries.
Wait, give us a minute.
Okay. So we'll give 5 minutes to all the groups that are presenting the MOU, and then we'll give around like 8 to 10 minutes for feedback after that, okay?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fahru from AMSA Indonesia. Here I'm
with me, Faya Salini from AMSA Indonesia. Here we are going to present our MOU. But first, let us introduce the others first. Here from AMSA Indonesia, we have our SOFMP, Kak Giovanna, and we have Melita, Bunga, Anina, Sonti, and I guess that's all. Maybe we can start with and Maria Diota, and maybe we can start presenting. Start from Fahru first.
A Memorandum of Understanding met on December 20, 2020 between Party A, AMSA Indonesia, hereinafter referred to as AMSA, having its office at Faculty of Medicine, Trisakti University, Kaitapa, number 260, Jakarta, 11740, and Party B met at headquartered in 12 Buchanan Street, G1 3HL, Glasgow, UK.
Okay, maybe we can scroll it down. Here we have the background. We have 3 points. And first point, AMSA is a non-profit and non-governmental organization formed by medical students in Asian and Oceania region as part of AMSA International's effort to fulfill its philosophies, blah blah blah. And we have the second point is the MedEd. As we know from the case, is a leading provider of online medical education and preparation services for standardized tests. And the third point, AMSA and MEDET would like to collaborate to provide AMSA members with a 20% discount on all their medical education and preparation services and provide AMSA with 15 Q Bank scholarships worth of $150. Next, Farooq.
The purpose of this MOU is to clearly describe and identify the mutual goals and responsibilities of each party with regard to supporting medical students financially with their medical education and preparation service, and also to provide scholarship.
Okay, next we have the parties' roles and responsibilities from the case. We know that AMSA shall first promote MEDET on all social media accounts, Facebook, Instagram, etc. And second is list MEDET as a partner organization on AMSA's official website. And we have the MEDET shall provide AMSA members with a 20 discount on all their medical education and preparation services. And the second one is provide AMSA with 15 Q Bank scholarships worth of $150, as we know from the case. Faru?
Okay. Other provisions. This MOU is no restricts either of the parties from participating in any activities with other public or private agencies, organizations, or individuals. This MOU is strictly for internal management purposes for each of the parties. It is not legally enforceable and shall not to be construed to create any legal obligations on the part of either party. This MOU shall not be construed to provide a private right or cause of action for or by any person or entity. All agreements herein are subject to and will be carried out in compliance with all federal applicable laws, regulations, and other legal requirements.
Okay, now this is the term and termination. It's quite long, but in conclusion, based on the case, we have this in the first sentence. This agreement shall commence on the date of signing this agreement and continue for a term of 1 year. And this is from the case that the agreement, it should be last for 1 year. And maybe we can next go to the next part. Yes, the points of the contact. Maybe Faru, you can continue this.
The points of contact. The primary points of contact for each party for the implementation of this MOU appear below. Each party may written notice, request, or identity may be next from AMSA. And MEDET, there is the address, phone number, and email, website, and also the contact person. Okay, maybe Anya, you can continue with the effective date.
Okay, maybe this would be like, yeah, the effective date. Okay, here we have the AMSA and MEDET authorized. We have the Helena Arneta. Right now, she's the regional chairperson, so we'll have her signature and the date of this MOU. And we have from MEDET is Andy from the marketing director based on the case. And maybe we can scroll down a little bit more. And I guess it's finished here. And thank you. We are from AMSA Indonesia, and thank you for all of your attention. That's all from us. Thank you.
Thank you and good afternoon.
Right, okay, thank you so much, AMSA Indonesia. So maybe you can stop your screen share right now. Okay, great. And I'll put up my screen. Right, okay, so generally I think the MOU is super well done, like it's super concise, all the important informations are there. But maybe just some small suggestions that you can try to be more precise on the roles and responsibility part. So maybe if you said that like maybe AMSA your AMSA Indonesia chapter can commit like to promote their company on your social media account. So maybe you can specify on like maybe how many posts you can give them per year, maybe like 5 Facebook posts per year, or 1 email every 3 months or so, because yeah, it's important to list down all of these so that they won't ask you to like send a post, promote a post for them every single week or something. Yeah, and also there are actually if you have a sponsorship option for companies to pay extra money for you to promote their company, this will like take away the privilege or the point of the sponsorship option. So yeah, so yeah, Jackie, do you have any other things to add on for this
Not
presentation?
really, to be fair. It's quite well done, except some of the small details, obviously, but with the time constraint, obviously, it's something that can consider when you have more time to do it.
Right, okay. Okay, so well done, AMSA Indonesia. So next, can we invite AMSA Scotland to present their prospectus? Okay, great. We can see your screen now. Yep.
Right, awesome. Right, can I start it now?
Yep, sure. Please
right. Hi, everyone. So my name is Albert. I'm the regional chairperson of AMSA Scotland. So this is our draft of our MOU. So our MOU is dated on 20th of December, representing an agreement between MetEd, who's our partner, and also who's represented by Angie Andrews, who's the marketing director of MetEd. And obviously our organization is AMSA Scotland, and who is going to be represented by myself, Albert Eddy, RC of Scotland, and this the address of our university. So moving on to the second page of the document. Right, so a bit of background about us. AMSA Scotland is a national non-profit organization based in Scotland, and we are affiliated with AMSA International based on the tenets of knowledge, action, and friendship. We aim to be a platform between different Scottish universities and a network to universities elsewhere of the world. We aim to gather and share knowledge and passion with all future doctors around the world by providing the discussion and meeting platforms through national and international AMSA events. We also aim to become the bridge to platforms through become the bridge to build and maintain good relationship between our members and members around the world. So MetEd is a medical education company that provides educational services to medical students worldwide, founded in 2010, and aims to promote accessibility to quality medical education at affordable cost. So AMSA Scotland and MetEd are seeking to pursue a mutually beneficial partnership. Right, so I'll pass it on to one of my members now, Dorota, who's going to speak a bit about the sponsorship terms.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dorota, and I'm part of AMSA Scotland, and I'll be talking about the sponsorship terms. So, 20 discount will be given to all AMSA Scotland members on all medical education and preparation resources from MetEd. And B, AMSA Scotland will receive 15 Q Bank scholarship, and individually each one would be worth $150. In consideration of the scholarship terms, the society shall perform the following to the partner during the term, which is 4.1 marketing and promotion of the partner on the society's social platforms, including partners' Facebook and Instagram. 4.2 recognition. The our partner is also recognized on the Society's official website. And also, the Society will provide partner with at least 3 working days to review and provide consent sent out in Clause 3 prior to the same being printed or broadcasted. Yes. Also, the Society will warrant the Society has the authority to provide all personal data, including personal data of the Society's representative and students, to the partner in connection with the Society's obligations set out in Clause 3. Yes. Yeah, that's all. So I'll pass on now to Edward.
Hi, hello. The rest of this is all really the legal stuff, I presume, but it's not really legal per se, as we've discussed, but it's just some of the provisions that go into the Memorandum of Understanding. Number 5 is really saying that AMSA Scotland is able to undertake it's able to undertake similar MOUs with other organizations. So this is not an MOU that is exclusive. 6 really just outlines like what AMSA Scotland and what MedEd will do in case either party is unable to fulfill the sort of provisions that are laid out in the Memorandum of Understanding, so on and so forth. Liability stuff. Again, what happens in number 8? What happens when they are unable to fulfill the? I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Right. Okay. Sorry. My audio is glitching a bit. Number 8 is again mentioning what happens when someone breaches the terms of the agreement. Number 9 is just some of the other stuff to cover our backs, so to speak, so that we are able to understand each other. They are not going to use AMSA Scotland's name without our knowing. We are not going to use their name without them knowing. 10, 11, it's more details pertaining to this. Number 12 really states that in case there is any controversy in terms of the agreement itself, this is the document that we should be referring to. 13 really expresses that further. 14, 15, 16, just building up on that. Down here, we have the 2 signatories for the Memorandum of Understanding. On the left is Albert Eddy, Regional Chairperson for AMSA Scotland, Regional Coordinator, sorry. And the other is the Marketing Director who should sign this. I've neglected to add the date at the bottom, which is important in this case, because it would show like when the thing comes into effect, but that's essentially what we were thinking in terms of our Memorandum of Understanding.
And that's the end of our short presentation, I guess. So thank you guys.
Right. Okay. Thanks, AMSA Scotland. So yeah, I really enjoyed. I really like how detailed the MOU that you guys have created. Like, I really like the part of you guys put so much focus on all the legal issues. So if there's one thing that I would suggest to make the MOU better, it's on the detail that you guys can put more focus on the details of the roles and responsibilities. So maybe for like just as the previous one, AMSA Indonesia has presented, maybe you can list out how many promotional posts that you are able to give them, how many emails that you're able to send per year. And also for the question bank scholarship, maybe you can add some details like who will be choosing the potential students that are receiving the scholarship. Is it from the Kaplan side or is it from AMSA Scotland side, right? Yeah, and maybe if you want, you can list down like how would you choose the participants if AMSA Scotland is the one choosing it. Maybe like you organize a competition and set the question bank scholarship as a prize for the competition. Yeah, so these are the things that I would suggest. So Jason, is there anything that you want to add on for this?
Yeah, I feel like, am I audible?
Yeah.
I feel like the MOU is very complete and comprehensive. but perhaps you can also add the point of contact. I haven't seen it in their MOU. So perhaps like in addition to the points that Sherpin has mentioned, you can also add the point of contact as well.
All right, noted. Thanks for the good point. Thanks, guys.
Right. Okay. Thank you, AMSA Scotland.
Can I add something if that's okay?
Yep.
Because the MOU itself is very, obviously it's very detailed and stuff. I would say, if possible, just for easier reading purpose, just add a heading on what are the clause about as a general. Because like now your MOU is more like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stuff. So it's a bit difficult to know what the clause is about. But if you can just add a small little heading on like, oh, this is about the roles and responsibility, then it's 1, 2, 3, something like that. It will be easier to read. But overall, it's quite a good one.
Awesome. Thanks, Dr. Tan.
Okay, well done. Okay, so next, can we invite the team of AMSA Malaysia and AMSA Taiwan to present your scenario?
Okay, so good evening, everyone. So this is what I've drafted with Tyro together for the MOU. So as you can see, Party A is like for our group is AMSA Malaysia and Party B is the MEDET. So what we've included in the MOU, first thing is the background for AMSA Malaysia and both MEDET. And also we've included the purpose of this memorandum, which is to maintain the working relationships between AMSA Malaysia and MEDET. So this memorandum outlines the benefits of cooperation and seeks to advance the education of medical students in Malaysia. So for the parties' roles and responsibilities, so Tyro has included the role for AMSA Malaysia and also for MEDET. And then for other provisions, so I basically just added what was shown by Jason just now. And for the terms and termination, we've stated that this memorandum is valid for 1 year. So starting from the date of 20th December 2020. So adjustments can be made at any time upon of approval of both organizations. And the effective date is stated above, which is 20th December 2020. And lastly, we've included the sign for both the parties. Yeah, so that's basically our memorandum.
Okay, right. Okay, so thanks AMSA Malaysia and AMSA Taiwan. So yep, now can I invite Dr. Jackie to give her feedbacks on this MOU?
Hey, that was quite a nice and precise one, like short and sweet, actually. I think the only thing I can think of at the moment is probably more on the details of, again, the role and responsibility, number one, on each party, and what can you do, what they should do as well. And then the second thing is probably on the part where if they were to to terminate this contract, then how should it be done, and how long if for example you say you don't fulfill the requirement or whatever, but how long of the timeline you should give. For example, if you give them a first reminder and then they do it, do you still terminate it, or do you, like, for example, how should I phrase it? For example, okay, if they don't do the requirement, or if you don't do the requirement, if they send you a reminder if you've done it, is it okay to continue the contract? Or if they give you multiple reminders and then they still didn't do it, and then you terminate the contract, like how many times of reminder they should give you, or how long the timeline. For example, if in 6 months and you haven't fulfilled it, then terminate it, something like that. I hope you get what I mean. Yeah, so it's more like the details on the things, but I do appreciate it's like a time constraint thing. You can't think as much at the moment. Yeah, that's for my part. But I do like your format. It's very clear. You have the headings and stuff, and it's much easier to read as well and much easier to follow.
Okay, thanks, Jackie. So Jason, any thoughts on this MOU?
Yeah, I feel like this is also a great example. And yeah, Jackie has mentioned like several good points. Perhaps I'll just from my end, I feel like you can also at the address of AMSA Malaysia. And I feel like in the background you mentioned quite long for AMSA Malaysia as in the background. And yeah, perhaps you can just limit it to 1 to 2 paragraph. And yeah, for both AMSA Malaysia and MEDET. And you also can add like points of contact. Yeah, I feel like other than that, it has been mentioned by Jackie as well.
Right. Okay. Thanks, Jason. So, yep. Let me share my screen. So yeah, from what we can see from hopping around the rooms, I can see you guys are doing a great job. So yeah, I think you guys are pretty much like ready to send a MOU for your next sponsor. So yeah, really well done, all of you. So yeah, so for those who didn't have an opportunity to present, um, right, can you send the link of your MOU to this email, sponsorship@amsainternational.org, and we'll give you a written feedback, okay, within 1 week from now. Okay, so yep, please do so that our panelists can comment on and give you feedback to improve your MOU in the future. Okay, so yep, so I think that's the end of this masterclass. So I hope everyone has learned something from this masterclass, especially in terms of how to look for sponsors, how to approach sponsors, how to solicit a new sponsorship or partnership, and also how to establish a really concise and perfect MOU. Okay, so yeah, before we end, I would just like to present some certificates. So the first one is for Dr. Jiak Ying. So thank you so much for taking your time off the ward, spending your weekends for us, teaching us all the knowledge and sharing your experience from your previous involvement in marketing and sponsorship for all of us. Okay. And
Thank you. It's okay.
yeah, and also I would like to thanks Jason for giving us his weekend, sharing all his experience in making a very successful MOU, very concise with all the with his presentation. I think his presentation is really good. Like it includes all the important parts that every MOU should have in order to serve as a perfect guideline for you and your sponsor to proceed in a term of your partnership. Okay. So thank you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Okay, so yep, so I think that's the end of our masterclass here. So if you guys have any other more questions for our panelists, you can also email the questions to this email address, and yep, we'll try to reply to all of your questions as well. So yeah, I think it's dinner time or like lunchtime for most of you guys. So yeah, so we should call this masterclass to an end. So really thanks all of you guys for spending your time with us. I hope you guys have really learned something from this masterclass. Okay, so yep. Okay, so thank you all of you. So our next masterclass will be in January. Okay, so there won't be any masterclass in this year anymore. So the next masterclass will be in January. So Mau, do you wanna share what's the next masterclass will be on about?
Okay, sure. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Cherpin, Dr. Jackie, and also Jason for contributing their time to share their knowledge about how to make MOU to everyone here in AMSA International. And regarding the next session of the masterclass, it will be around January. And I think this one will get really interesting since on January it will talk about AMSA. So if you guys are curious about how your chapter can develop a proper way to conduct a student exchange, don't forget to come on January on the next masterclass. Okay, I think that's all from me.
Right. Okay.
I'm gonna give it back to Cherpin.
Okay. Thank you, Mau. So thank you so much for. Okay. So before we end, I would like to take a checkout photo for all of us. So if possible, please turn on your video again. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Okay. And one more. 3, 2, 1. Okay. That's a wrap, guys. Thank you so much for attending. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, okay? So we'll see you guys in the next masterclass. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, everyone.
See you, everyone.